Good morning. Welcome back. So yesterday I had a seed treatment applicator training. So I didn't make a video. Was at that all day, most of the day, and picked up a few things, learned some stuff. It was a good meeting. We're back at the farm today. I don't have anything going on in the shop, although Dad's got a project in there I'm going to show you later. Hopefully he'll be back and can show you what exactly he's been working on there. But we're going to do something a little bit different today. So last week, I think, I did my year in review video, which nobody watched, by the way. I mean, a few people watched, but it's gotten far less views than normal, which is fine. Don't worry about it. No, you don't have to watch it. It's okay. But it gave me an idea. And somebody made a comment, I think, on it of what are we going to do different for next year, or what can we plan for next year to do better kind of stuff. And so I've been thinking about that a lot this week, actually. And so we're going to talk today about, looking forward, how do we do better in 23 than we did in 22? Keeping in mind that 22 was the best year we've ever had, crop-wise, yield-wise. So now obviously the weather dictates a lot that I cannot control, but there are some things to improve on from the farming side of stuff, the management side of stuff. We're going to talk about the YouTube side of stuff a little bit. I don't know. We're just going to see where it goes. I don't have a plan here. I'm just winging it. So let's see what we can figure out. So before we can look forward to 23, we kind of need to look back at 22 and what did we do that worked well that I want to do more of? What did we do that didn't work well that I either need to retest or test better, I guess. And so I have spent a little time here, well, not that page, but going through some of my yield trial results, side-by-sides, and that kind of stuff. Seeing, which products worked, which ones didn't, and just doing a lot of that analysis stuff that I've already shown you guys. I'm not going to go through it again now. And I found a little bit of both. You're going to get a lot of looking at me, sorry. But one of the products that we used this year, that was kind of a by accident type of thing. We ran out of what we normally use, had to get some more, and the supplier that we got stuff had a kind of an alternative product. But it was on our wheat. We use a product called Passaro for head scab fungicide, and all of our wheat have for a number of years. We've had really good luck with it. There was a year, 10 or 15 years ago, where we sprayed some on our wheat fields down to Berkey when we had a bunch of wheat there, and it was 15 to 20 bushel difference. And so we've just kind of used it every year and always see pretty good results from it. Well, we ran out about 20, 30 acres short of that product this year, maybe 40. And so we got another product called Miravis Ace. And it's a competitor. It's supposed to do the same thing, but has some added components in it, I guess. And it was a dramatic difference in how much better the wheat looked, cleaner. Yeah, I talked about that when we were harvesting the wheat. You can go back and find those videos. But so that is a product that we're going to switch to and use a lot of this year and go away from the Passaro that we had been using. So that's one thing that we can do a little bit better, I think, for next year. Another thing that we did a lot more of this year, but have done some in the past, is the fungicide on our corn. The V5 fungicide, the early applications that we had, not as big a return this year as what we have seen in the past. Still got something out of them. I would say 3 to 5 bushel. But I have seen 10 to 15 in the past. And so given that it has worked really well for me, 1 year of lower returns does not stop you from doing that program. And as cheap as it is, even 3 to 5 bushel more than pays for it. So we're going to do more of that this year. I've got chemical ordered already to do more of that. And the tassel fungicide as well that we've been spraying on with the Haggy. Tar spot was not as big of a deal this year as what it was in 21, at least from a yield standpoint. But our fungicide still paid. I was looking through stuff here. I found a field that was somewhere around 10. I've seen some that was 17, 20, something like that. Bushel advantage. Those are good numbers. That pays for the fungicide application. Now, it wasn't the 40 bushel difference we saw in 21, so yeah, it wasn't as big of a return, but it still paid. It's still something we're going to do a lot of. And again, I have the fungicide bought to do so again this year. So we're going to plan on doing a lot more of that. Now, we did try something new this year on that front as well, a product called Xyway, which is a fungicide that you can put in with your starter. The plants take it up through the roots. It's systemic. We used some of that. I think it worked. I don't think it's a huge return. The one field where I had a really good side-by-side split, it was just over 2 bushel difference. 2 bushel does not pay for that chemical. But it was a lower return year from fungicides anyway, so I'm not committing to using a ton of that product, but I am going to retest it. We're going to do some more of that. And where I see a fit for that is where I can't or don't want to go back and spray, especially the V5 application later. If I can just put it on with planter and be done with it and not have to come back, yeah, that gives us a fit to get some fungicide and some protection out there without having to come back in and put it on later. But I can spray a V5 fungicide much cheaper than I can put Xyway on. So it's kind of a why spend the money if I don't have to kind of thing. Some things that didn't work so far or so well this year, and it's hard to say things didn't work when we had the best crops we've ever had, right? But let's see. So I've been experimenting with some foliar feed products that I have yet to see a real consistent return from. But part of that is my testing procedures. I feel like I have not done. Okay, so this is getting into a whole can of worms that we're going to talk about extensively here. But one of the biggest problems that I have, and one of the things that I've not done a good job of, is managing my experiments and my tests and my trials and stuff. So I do my plots out here, corn and bean plots, and do some agronomic trials with those. I do a pretty good job with that. However, I like to split fields. I like to take a field and we're going to treat this half of it this way or this half of it this way, or we're going to do the whole field the same, and then right in the middle we're going to make a strip with the sprayer, do a round of whatever we're using to try and get some good yield data off of that. The problem is I have all those records through the computers and the GPS and stuff and on my John Deere, but I kind of forget where everything is, and then I end up overlapping trials, and I have multiple variables, and I occasionally will have a trial break on a seed break, where there's a variety change or something, and it just completely ruins my data. And so one of the things that I need to do a much better job of moving forward, especially this year, is managing those trials, keeping track of everything. So I have an idea. So we have here these 3 maps, and these 3 maps have our fields on them. This is the stuff down to Berkey. This is some fields we have up here that are just kind of split away from everything else, and then everything else right here. And my intent this year is to take these maps and kind of draw on them with a dry erase marker of, all right, where do we have trials? So like this field here was the one that was soybeans last year that I had really good beans in, but I had all kinds of strips and they overlapped, and I didn't get any good data off of it because I had too much stuff going on there. So I can come in here with a marker and draw and say, all right, this has got a trials. Don't overlap anything over there, or, do something in this field or whatever. And that way I can kind of keep track and keep straight what trials we have going on where. Same thing down here to Berkey. This has got a lot of wheat down here because we planted half of these fields to wheat. And so like this one here, this is a good square, consistent field that if we split it right down the middle, I can do 2 different trials or whatever. I can do it. We just have to know it and keep track of everything. So that's kind of my idea for tracking stuff and making sure that we do a better job of getting good results for all the effort that we put into testing stuff. So how do we set up those trials? Well, that's kind of what I'm doing now in the office here and planning and stuff and trying to figure out, what products do I really want to test and where can we put those trials, and just kind of making a plan to keep them all separate and stuff. So part of the problem is some fields are set up well for it and some fields aren't, which is why I tend to overlap them, because I'll get something and I'll think, oh, this would be a good spot to test that. And then I'll get something else, and, oh, that would be a good spot to test it, forgetting that I already had something going on there. And you can only do so much, right? You can only have so many side-by-sides, whether it's seed varieties or fungicide trials or foliar feed products or whatever else, you can only do so much. Now, we also had some more macro level things that I messed up this year, or just didn't work out in our favor. I don't know if I messed up so much as it's just the way it turned out. Not things that I'm trialing, I guess, but like, for example, on our irrigated field up there, we ran out of nitrogen and we got tar spot late, right? Came in the end of August, we had the tar spot in there, and we were showing significant signs of nitrogen deficiency. Now that corn still yielded really, really well. I mean, we had 260 bushel average, 282 bushel in my corn growers entry, which is fantastic. That's awesome. But I bet I left easily 20 or 30 bushel on the table by not putting enough nitrogen out there and by not spraying it a second time with fungicide. Now, I put a lot of nitrogen out there, and I did spray with a fungicide, so it was more of a planning thing and just not being able to react fast enough when the need arose, or the need was realized. So it's hard to plan for that for next year. One, we aren't going to have any irrigated corn. I don't have any corn along the river to be able to irrigate, but we do have some really productive fields that are going to corn that we're going to push them, and we're going to see what we can do. So I need to make sure that we've got a plan in place to address those a little bit more in season, whether that's the tissue testing or just planning on some more late season nitrogen, or putting a little more on when we're making our normal nitrogen. I don't know. But we're going to try and stay on top of that stuff a little bit more. All right, it is lunchtime. I'm going to go run to lunch. We'll come back and talk some more, but you've gotten a lot of this view here. I'd like to do something different. Maybe Dad will be back. He can show you his little project we've been working on. Okay, I'm back from lunch. You guys want to see this project Dad's been working on? I told you earlier in the week, I guess, he was building a stand or a box or whatever for our fuel hose reel. Let me show you. So I bought this a month or so ago. We're going to put this out by our fuel tanks to replace our fuel hose, and it pulls out, and yeah, that'll be super awesome. But we need a way to mount it and hold it there, and so Dad has, well, he's built one. So he's got this. We've got those bollard posts out there, the big yellow posts to keep us from running into stuff. So this is going to fit between two of those posts, and he's got those that'll kind of bolt around it. And then this piece here will bolt to this and sit on our wall that we've got out there. We've got a wooden wall out there. And then this is upside down right now. And then the hose reel will mount to this on the other side, sit inside there. That side there is what bolts to here. And then he built a house for it, more or less. He's got walls go all the way around. This will be the front. You can pull the hose out. He's got a roof put on top of it. And he's really worried about birds getting in there. So he's going to get some wire mesh to cover up the bottom, and he's getting a door built, making a door for it. So obviously we've got a little painting to do yet and assembly, but when we get it all together, I'll show you. It'll be pretty nice. I was hoping he would be around to tell you all about his project here, but I don't know what he's doing. So anyway, yeah, it's a good little thing to have done. It'll be really nice. Our fuel hose that is out there now is leaking. One, it's two hoses spliced together. There's a splice in the middle, and it's dripping from that splice. The nozzle that's out there now is also leaking from the valve in there. Might be fixable, maybe, but I just bought a new one, the new swivel. And so we're just going to replace it all and put that new stuff out there. It'll be good. Plus, he's going to have it all inside this cabinet. We have a door on it. We can lock it up real good. Oh, yeah. This will be nice. Okay. Well, I'm back in the office now. So back to our how do we do better this year than we did last year? Let's talk about the equipment side of stuff a little bit. We haven't made any major purchases for next year that, like we bought that 8RX a year ago. Of course, we hadn't done that by this point in the year like last year. Last year, we went to the Fort Wayne Farm Show and somehow ended up with an 8RX a couple weeks later. Fort Wayne Farm Show's next week. We'll see what happens. but I'm not planning on anything. So we don't have any major equipment purchase upgrades that we've made yet here that will affect next year's stuff too much. But obviously those tracks on the 8RX were a big upgrade. And so we'll see. I am playing with some starter ideas on the corn planter and different ways to address the crop fertility side of stuff. I'm beating around the bush here a little bit because I'm not ready to make any announcements, but there are some announcements coming. Let's just put it that way. I will let your speculation go crazy on that one for a while, but we do have a piece of equipment that will be here at some point. So, outside of that, nothing too much there, I guess, for next year. We are not going to have any irrigated corn. We may try some irrigated beans. Depends on how the summer goes. But that's to be determined yet. All right. Well, anyway, so those are some of the things that, we've picked up on from last year that I'm going to try and do better next year. So goals for 23. Yeah, I haven't thought about it a whole lot, but we are going to do corn growers entries again. They will be dry land this year. So I have 3 different locations of really good fields that could potentially be corn growers entries. The logistics of doing 3 different locations and harvest and stuff is really daunting. So they may or may not all get entered or submitted, but we'll see how that goes. And we're going to push them. We're going to do as best we can. I would love to grow 300 bushel corn. I suffer from a little bit of imposter syndrome here with growing the 282 and being second in the state this year because I don't feel like I did anything to deserve that or to have that kind of a result, I guess you could say. I mean, we got very, very, very fortunate to have outstanding weather this past year. The reason that we had the best crops ever is because of the rain that we got throughout the summer. I cannot guarantee that moving forward. So while I would love to sit here and tell you, I know exactly what to do to get to 300 bushel corn. Yeah, I do. It's called make it rain. If it rains, I think I can do it. If it doesn't, I won't come anywhere close. Or if it rains too much, I won't come anywhere close. It's so out of my control that I have a hard time committing to that. But we're going to try. We're going to do the best that we can to really push our corn yields. We're going to do the same thing with soybeans. So I did that go for the gold soybean contest with Golden Harvest this year. And we had a really good entry, but they have not announced the results for that yet. It's January. They haven't announced the results. I don't know what they're waiting for. But I had really good beans. We were in the mid 80s. Let's do better. Can I raise 100 bushel soybeans? I don't know, but I'm going to try. But again, it has to rain. It's out of my control for the most part. And so we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We're going to keep trying new products. We're going to throw some stuff at some fields that may or may not work. We're just going to do it because we're really trying to push some stuff. But I feel like, as much as I say that it was the weather last year, the reality is I have 3 years in a row had corn growers entries north of 280 bushels an acre. In fact, this year where I placed second was the worst of those 3 years. And so, while it was the weather, I have to be doing something right too. And I think we can do better. So, there's that stuff. So goals. What are the goals? The goal is 300 bushel corn. The goal is 100 bushel soybeans. I don't know if those are realistic goals, but those are the goals. We're also going to hopefully do a little bit better job with some wheat this year. Wheat's it's not the forgotten crop. It's just the mistimed crop where we don't pay a ton of attention to it because we're busy planting corn, right? And so, 100 bushel wheat has always been a good wheat crop for us. I would love to see a field go 110, 120. We can do that. We have done 110 bushel wheat before. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Our wheat crop looks good right now. So, again, it's very weather dependent, but let's push it. Let's see what we can do. How do we push those yields to the next level? I somehow have fallen into this high yield category, which just blows my mind for the ground that we farm. But I'm going to lean into it, and we're gonna do what we can to push stuff. And yeah, those are the goals as far as crop yields go. We are also, like I said earlier, going to try really hard to do a better job of tracking the trials and keeping everything straight and doing a better job of management and organization of those trials. So that's a goal too, I guess. Personally, I would like to set the goal of understanding and being a little bit more involved in our grain marketing side of it. You guys see none of that because I do very little of it. Occasionally we talk about it. I try and watch the markets, but I am not responsible for selling and marketing our grain. Partially because I don't have to be. A lot because I don't have to be. But that is going to change eventually, and I need to understand it and do it and kind of start figuring that stuff out. So I'm not going to take it over. Probably won't be able to show a whole lot of that because it's not I don't have a good enough concept and grasp of it to be able to explain it to you. And there's just not a whole lot of actionable stuff that I can show you what I'm doing. But paying attention to the grain marketing stuff, that's something that I want to do better over the next year. It's also pretty likely that I'm going to spend a little bit more time in a sprayer this spring and summer. I mean, I do a lot in the summer, but the one thing that's not going to happen is we spray less. It's getting to be more and more. And it's not necessarily herbicides and insecticides and fungicide. I mean, it is fungicides. We're spraying more of that, but it's some of these foliar products, some of that other stuff. So, and while we're on the topic of foliar products, your big announcement of the video here. So you guys remember this past year we trialed the product that I actually did keep separate and did a pretty good job of getting some decent data off of. A product called Source Soybeans from Sound Ag. They had given me that product to try it, and I did, and Niles came out and rode with me in the combine that one day, and we pretty consistently, across all three trials, well, I had three different side-by-sides. Two of them were 3 bushel difference. One of them was like 1.5 bushels. An average 2.5 bushel advantage across all three trials. I mean, that's not a huge result, but it's a result, and I was pretty happy with it. Happy enough that we were going to test it some more. And on a much larger scale. So I bought enough to do, I think, 400 or 500 acres. And I also got a jug of Source corn, or the original Source product that is for corn. So we were going to test that. But in the process of this, they have asked me to become a dealer for Source. And I was a little hesitant because I would really like to test this another year to get a little more confidence in the product, because I have a hard time selling stuff and pushing stuff that I just don't have confidence in. And it's not that I don't have confidence, I just don't have the experience and stuff to back it up. But you may have noticed this box sitting here behind me. This is my Sound Ag new dealer kit. I indeed did sign up to be a dealer for Sound Ag, so yeah, I told them, I said, I'm probably not going to sell much this year, but we'll try it. And at least I get credit for selling my own stuff to me. So in this fancy box, we've got a letter from the CEO. We got some hats. We got a little pocket knife. It's so much easier with 2 hands. You guys make such things so difficult. Oh yeah, a little pocket knife. Nice. We got a pen. We got a box. I assume with something in it. Oh, tape measure. Nice. Lots of fluff and some marketing material, it appears. A book. Oh, well, there's my dealer sign. We'll stick that on the door to the seed warehouse. Handbook. Probably something important there. And some marketing materials, it would appear. So I'll go through this stuff here at some point. But anyway, if you guys live anywhere remotely close and you have any interest in trying this stuff, or have heard of it or familiar with it, whatever, any feedback from your farms, let me know. But I think there's some promise to it. I like the idea and how they're approaching the whole nitrogen fixation and phosphorus availability. We'll talk about this some other time. That's not the point of this video. Point is, I have this stuff. I can get it. I also wanted to note some goals and stuff for the YouTube side of stuff here. Obviously, my channel is growing, but rather slowly. I mean, we picked up about 5,000 subscribers last year, and we are just about to 25,000, which is good. I was hoping to be there by the end of the year. We didn't quite make that. I would love to grow it a little bit more this year, and I'm going to set a goal now to be at 35,000 by the end of the year. That doesn't seem outrageous. It's not super aggressive, but I would be pretty happy if we could gain 10,000 this year and double the growth rate from last year. So we'll see. I'm going to try and make better content for you guys. I'll be honest, the videos aren't going to change much. They're going to be what they are because this is how I make videos and this is just what I do. But we'll see. We'll see. I think we've got some exciting stuff coming. I think we'll have a really good year. You know, I am aware enough to know that we have some really nice equipment, and that's a big draw and why I get lots of views in the spring and the fall when we're in the fields. Yep, and I can cover that. I can check those boxes. We've got an 8RX. We've got a really nice combine, grain cart. So, you know, those are good things, and we'll see. We'll see how that continues to go. And obviously, I added the merchandise stuff this year. I hope that continues to grow. We'll try and get some new stuff put up there. You guys got to keep buying it. Go to farmfocus.com. Check out some Motor View Farms merch if you haven't already. Grab some stuff there. Hopefully, we'll get some new stuff sometime. I haven't talked to them about anything yet, but I have a few ideas in the back of my mind. And like it or not, you are going to start seeing some sponsorship stuff show up on my channel. I get approached more and more frequently about some things. I keep turning stuff down that just doesn't fit, but I do have one lined up for later this summer that is an excellent fit. And you know, we're still working out some details on some stuff. I'm not going to overbear you with them, but you guys do have to understand the amount of time and effort that I put into making these videos, and if I can find a way to capitalize on that and monetize it a little bit more than what YouTube is paying me, I'm going to do so, and I hope you understand that. Some projects for the year. You know, obviously we've got seasonal work around here. You know, in the spring and fall, we're busy in the fields. We do some stuff in the summer in the fields. In the winter, it's all in the shop mostly. So the work that has to get done. Outside of that, we're talking about insulating the back half of the shop. We've been talking about that for a while. Whether that happens this year or not, I don't know. Usually in the winter, when we say we should insulate the back half of the shop, we say, well, that's a summer project because it's cold back there. We need to work in the warm. And then in the summer, we say, well, that's a winter project because we're busy and we don't want to do it. So I don't know when it's going to get done, but that is something that's being talked about, trying to get that done. Obviously, I've got some more landscaping and stuff to do around my house, trying to finish up that project. You know, we built a new house and finally got some grass this fall, which is nice, but we need that to thicken up and fill in and get some concrete poured for sidewalks and driveways, and so that'll be something. And I am going to start working on this F12, the old tractor that's sitting in the corner of the shop there. Maybe as early as next week, we'll start getting something done on that. All right, well, a few last things before we wrap this one up. It may seem like this has all been filmed in 20 minutes, but I started about 9:30 this morning, and it is now 4:30 in the afternoon. So a lot of times, if it's a little jumpy, it's because I forgot what I filmed last. But anyway, just to wrap this video up, I will be at the Fort Wayne Farm Show on Tuesday. Dad and I and Brock and my boys will all be there. So if you see us, say hi. And yeah, I'll try and film that, do the best that I can. I also can confirm that I will be in Louisville for the National Farm Machinery Show on Friday and Saturday. It'll be the 17th and 18th. So, yeah, more details on that to come later, but we will be down there, and should be a good time. So, next week, like I said, we're kind of caught up in the shop work for right now, and not ready to start another major project. So I think on Monday, I'm gonna have my boys on Monday. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and they don't have school. They don't have school on Tuesday, which is why they're going to the farm show with me. So I'll have them, but I think we're gonna start working on that F12. I need to look at parts a little bit more and stuff, but I need to take the head somewhere to get it cleaned, and it's just a little rusty, and I don't really know what to do about that. So we're going to look into that, but I think we need to take the valves apart, the springs, that kind of stuff. I kind of been hoping my Uncle Jack would come up because this is his specialty. But we can do a little work on it. What's the worst that could happen? We forget how it goes back together. Oh well, we'll figure it out. And we'll see what we can do with that project. So anyway, thanks for watching this. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them down below. And we will see you again next week.